Hi team, hope we are having an amazing day out there. Guys, this is a special one. This is a very special little video. The team have been able to get Cass to agree to come into another video. For those that seen, she jumped in on a video probably about 5 or 6 months ago now when we come back from our 5-week trip, and she done such an amazing job that we put her back on camera. But today we're going to be talking around the foundation of Adelaide RV, how it started, some challenges. We're going to be answering a few questions that the team have put together in a conversational style chat around the history of Adelaide RV as we come up to celebrating our 8th birthday. Okay, so 2nd of September 2016 was the opening day of Adelaide RV, and we're going to have a little bit of chat. So tune in, grab yourself a beer or a glass of red, and enjoy a trip down memory lane as we sit here and reminisce. Where did you start? Where was the, kind of where let's go back to your position before you left.
Yeah, look, I started in a pharmacy. So I was a pharmacy assistant, dispense technician, pharmacy assistant, managed a group of shops in Broken Hill, and then obviously used the skill set that I'd learnt there. Primarily, I guess the managerial skill set that I'd learnt, along with I did all the bookwork, so the bookkeeping for the 3 pharmacies that they had. It was like an independently owned group. So that's where I learnt a lot about business structures, bookkeeping, management, and I guess adopted those skills and plonked them into the caravan industry. And yeah, all I really had to learn then is I guess the caravans, the terms, the lingo, all of the things that go along with caravanning.
It's an interesting industry. And yeah, for me, guys, again, I started back as soon as I left school. I went out and I started off, I trialled working in the tourism centre, the Tourist Information Centre, back home in Broken Hill. Always had a real love for tourism. I then went and had a little short stint as a apprentice diesel mechanic, and again, that wasn't for me. And my old man at the same time was just kicking off doing camper trailers. So he had a self-contained camper trailer hire business that he had started, and he was just starting to dabble in a few caravan repairs and a few bits and pieces with caravan accessories. And when I left year 12, he said, "Would you like to join me? I'm going to go out, I'm going to build a shed, and we're going to try and go a little bit bigger with the caravan repair side of things." So that's where I started. Fast forward a few years, I ended up doing a Cert 3 in RV service and repair. But yeah, obviously working in the workshop back there in Broken Hill. So we decided to open the dealership, God, when?
I can't, honestly, it's like a distant memory ago, but I know there was a lot of conversation in the younger years about wanting to get out of Broken Hill, move into a different location. We had a few locations on the go on where we wanted to move. But how did it all start?
I think we knew we wanted more. So we both were in town. You were managing, at the pharmacy. Obviously, you had a lot of girls, kind of that you were working with there. So you were learning, a lot in that industry. Throughout those years, I'd gone through the workshop, as I just mentioned. Then did a bit of work for Troublesome caravans, which are owned by Fleetwood RV, and then started traveling around the countryside doing a lot of caravan shows. From Corrimal, I then moved over to Nova Caravans, and we started working for Nova Caravans on the show circuit, and then we actually started selling Nova Caravans at the workshop in Broken Hill. So we bought a few vans in there and actually started selling Nova Caravans there, and that was, I guess, where it started. We thought that let's go out and start our own dealership and have a go, and it was actually Mildura. We were going to go to Mildura, weren't we? Yeah. So Mildura was our closest hometown, or closest kind of, I guess, biggest city to Broken Hill.
Yeah. It felt like a big city, and then Adelaide felt ginormous, and then I realised Adelaide's just a little country town, just a bit bigger than a country town. But yeah, I'm glad we made the move to Adelaide in the end. But yeah, it was to and fro for a while there. Mildura, Adelaide, pros and cons, trying to work it out, but we...
Broken Hill lingo, Tadelaide.
Yeah.
So I guess, again, going back, it was Nova Caravans. They had a dealership here that was no longer going to be selling the product here in Adelaide. We were looking to set Mildura RV up, and in pretty well right at the end, I remember we had that block down on 7th Street. We all but signed the lease there.
We had the lease drawn up, everything was done, my mind was made up, we were moving to Mildura, that was how it was going to go. And then I think it was a matter of like
We flipped
days
it. We
before
flipped it
we
in
signed.
days.
It was,
Yeah.
it was a matter of days before we were to sign the contract, the lease. And Jeb came home one day and was like, "How would you feel about Adelaide?" And I'm like, "No, my mind's already made up. We're going to Mildura. This is how it's going to be." And then after a little bit of thought, because generally my first initial reaction to everything is no, and we have to think of everything. And then we decided that it was actually like a better opportunity here. There was obviously
Larger marketplace.
Exactly. It just made more business sense to start here. Although it was...
We didn't have much business sense in 2016.
Area. No, we didn't. We were just honestly flying by. We winged it for so many years, but we just had everyone's best interest at heart. And I think it comes down to just knowing you're doing the right thing, and you just do the right thing consistently and repetitively, things just stack. And I think for us, that's
we genuinely care about people. So I think the setting of the dealership, every time someone would come in, we genuinely cared about their experience, and I think that that is really what kicked us off in the early days. That's for sure.
Definitely. Oh, down to the fine details. We were so fastidious with things, but I think that's what really helped leapfrog us into the business that we've got today. It's just we do worry about the small things, because the small things turn into big things. In the end, I think we chose Adelaide because the marketplace, it just made a better business.
Can you remember the amount of trips we had down over weekends trying to find a yard?
Oh my goodness, all the odds were against us, because like I said, seriously, in Mildura, we had everything done. Like in my mind, it was still close to home. Like it was still 3 hours from Broken Hill, so things like family and friends were still close to us, and Adelaide was 6+ hours.
Really knew no one here at the start, did we?
We didn't know anyone here. We didn't have a yard to lease, but we just felt like Adelaide was the right decision to make, but all of the odds were against us to start. We couldn't find a lease, and we'd have to travel 6 hours down from Broken Hill to Adelaide to even look for property.
Yeah. And
it was honestly, for a little bit there, a bit of a nightmare.
It was a bit of a nightmare. I actually remember when we found our first location, so the one at 728, which was originally where Camper Agent were in originally. They moved up to their big super centre, and we were actually driving back out on the freeway, because the new freeway out wasn't built then, so it was out Port Wakefield Road and then out that way, back home, or back to Broken Hill. And I actually remember the lease sign was actually going up. We chucked a U-turn. You remember chucking a U-turn? Went back and spoke to the old man there and got some details. Went back home and done it, and then that was, I guess, that's what birthed the first location there, and that was when the paintbrushes and the building started.
It did. We turned what was, well, it was pretty terrible, if I can just be honest. When we walked in, I was like, I'm not a visionary person in terms of like being able to visualize the space, and Jeb is, so we work well as a team. He was, Jeb was obviously had the plans. He's like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to transform this location and make it as best we can. And I feel like we did that, but it was solid. Obviously we lived on site at the time, because we knew no one, had nothing in besides our suitcase and our cars that we travelled here in. So we lived in an old like a written off caravan, and let me tell you, it was old and written off, like it had a hole in the wall. It was that.
That was my first experience. For those out there that know me, that was my first experience to cold showers. So I still cold for those. Fun fact for Jeb, I still cold shower every day. I love it. It gets me going in the day. But that was my first exposure to cold showers, was that second-hand caravan that had been written off. We bought it for $500. That was home. It was out the back of the dealership. Cassie would have about a 3-minute shower with the hot water. Jeb would have a cold one.
Sorry to interrupt, but it didn't even have like a dinette. It had cracks in the walls where the air would drift in, and it didn't even have a dinette. We would eat dinner every night, like sitting on the bed, like eating out of our bowls. That was actually quite funny. When you think back, in the moment, it just felt like what we needed to do to get by and to make things happen. When you look back, it's quite funny, the experiences that we had.
I think that's the thing, like you look at the industry now, you look at the business now, you come in, and you look at, again, how many assets are around us, how much money worth is around us. But at the start, we had a budget of $8 for dinner. The old 2 for $8 Whoppers at Hungry Jack's. That was a favourite. That was a go-to, wasn't it?
I know. And those that know me now know I wouldn't go near Hungry Jack's. Like, I'm very much a clean eater, and don't like takeaway in that sense at all. And we lived on that. Honestly, every day, every night we used to leave the dealership, jump in the car. This was our only outing. Like, sometimes we wouldn't leave for the whole week because we were just working.
And living on site.
Our outing was going around to the service station on Salisbury Highway because there's a Hungry Jack's there, and we used to go through the drive-through and get dinner. Quite funny.
It's crazy to look back on now. So I think that really rolls into, you know, exactly what those early days were like. Like I said, cold showers, living on site. We just had myself, Cassie, our dog Ralphie, who's he was a bit of a mascot there in those early years for the followers that have been watching us for quite a while. Would remember Ralph. Unfortunately, we lost him a couple of years ago now. But yeah, that was sad. But yeah, so those early days, they were tough. As Cassie said, the odds were against us. You know, we walked into a dealership that wasn't how we signed the lease. We were put a long way back at the start. Again, some things went against us there. Probably don't need to turn back up again with, you know, some previous people inside of the business. But we got the facility. It was a very clean slate. All the office had been ripped out. Everything had been demolished inside of it. It was a big, we'll call it a blank canvas. So that wasn't in the budget originally, but we started off, mate, I was just on the tools. So I was on the tools, we were building those offices, we were decking it all out, we laid carpet, we tried to create a bit of an indoor experience, which you look back on now, and again, we polished a turd.
We did polish a turd, like if you can use that analogy. It was very terrible when we walked in.
Yeah, I remember.
We get into the day, like our open day, it was a massive effort to get there because honestly we worked around the clock just to get it to a presentable state to have customers, you know, come in and actually present our product. But it was extremely tough. I remember the first. My mum helped out a lot. She came up and she was, you know, helping us paint and helping us put things together. But really it was just the three of us, four of us, including Ralph.
My old man, I remember the old man come down with a bobcat and he levelled all the ground out. We dug all the ground out, we levelled it out, but it was prone for floods. That area, like the way the shape of the land was, that workshop, we were like through that area. We opened in September, and then Christmas flooded. So again, open 4 months. Just trying to get through, no employees, just the two of us. So, you know, what a day would look like would be opening the dealership, selling the product. I was doing the selling, Cassie was administration, reception, bookkeeping, accounts, planning, finance, like every department in the business now. You know, those roles were held by obviously Cassie. It's from an administrative office perspective. You know, I was doing every handover, I was doing every sale, and I was also doing every service. So, you know, a morning we'd open the dealership between 9 and 5, someone would drop a van off for a service, you know, and then we'd take it right up the back to the very little back shed. It only just fit in the shed, the van would just go in. Vans were like 2.9 metres high and the roller door was 3 metres. We'd just get it in the shed, you know, and then I'd work through until 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 11:30 at night, you know. So again, we were doing 80, 90, some weeks, 100-hour weeks, 7 days a week just to try and get through. And, you know, when you put your heart and soul into something, you know, blood, sweat and tears, and you're working so hard and so tirelessly, you know, on very little money, you know, not taking a wage, you know, eating shit really because we just couldn't afford, afford food, living on site in the caravan. But again, we had a dream, we had a vision, we knew what we were trying to do. And then to get flooded out, that was heartbreaking. We no sooner rebuilt, recarpeted, new skirting boards, new gyprock, new computers, set it all back out again, relaunched, flooded again. So then that process went through again. It put shivers down my spine when I talk about that.
I know.
Went through that.
Luckily, like it was just one of those times where we got everything up and running again, and then we just didn't have enough time to obviously fix the faults, and we didn't understand at that time what the faults were. We just thought there was a lot of rain, and it was just one of those freak things. But the area was prone to flood.
So we found out later,
and we didn't realise. So here's us putting all our effort into getting everything back on track, and you know we can have customers back into the shop again because we've got the carpet, the skirting boards, new doors, computers, the whole thing, like Jeb just said. And then it happened again, and we were devastated.
So again, fix that. Then we come in, spent a whole heap of money on earthworks, you know, reshaped the whole yard so there couldn't be flow back into the actual building itself. Got back running, sold a few vans, and what I mean by a few vans back then, guys, it was like 3, 4 a month, you know, service work to try and get it through. And again, as we said, we're trying to do every handover, trying to do every part of the business, you know, we were trying to do to make ends meet. And then we got broken into. Remember that?
We did. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Guy cut the fence. Siggy, walking around with a ciggy and a crowbar.
He was so calm, honestly.
Oh
and we
my
had
gosh.
security throughout the premises. So obviously yeah, we could see him. He'd been in a couple of times, like he'd got in, the electric beams and stuff around the yard would set off, and our phones would
Ring the
call
cops,
police,
yeah.
like, but yeah, one night he came in and he was so cool, calm and collected about it. Just,
I wonder if they ever got. I don't think they ever would have got him.
yes, no, I don't think they did. So
Yeah.
you were about to say, but
Yeah.
crowbarred in, took all the radios,
Yeah.
like the stereos in the caravans. He sort of had a Jimmy bar and Jimmy barred the faceplate of the van, so he just ruined all the furniture to get these stereos out.
Tens of thousands of dollars worth of damage he done to every van in stock. So broke in, ripped TVs, ripped CD players out. But not only just done that, because he Jimmy barred them out, he just destroyed all the furniture. So then we're replacing all the furniture. Oh mate, it was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare. So again, another setback. You know, go back again, and
that was within the first probably 8 months.
God.
So within that first 12-month period, we've been flooded twice, broken into 3 times. And it was a bit of it was a rough start, but you know, resilience teaches you all the things.
I don't know if that answers your question, but there we go. That was a real good trip down memory lane. Most challenging period was all the lessons.
Yeah, you're
You
right.
know, like I think a lot of people kind of look now and, you know, everything's set up well, it's structured well, we have a great business, but as you said before, we're always trying to focus on what else we can do, how else we can make it better, always looking for those 1%ers. And I think because we had really, really high standards, as we were bringing people into the business and trusting people to come into the business and to do a role,
Yeah.
you know, and then that role not getting performed. I think when you try and launch something, it's just you know, it's us, it's the two of us, and you've got our passion, you've got our drive, you've got our desire, but then you go into the world of growth and trying to grow a business and trying to scale a business and then begin employing people, and then it just opens up so much more, I guess, complexity to everything.
It does.
Yeah.
Human dynamics, yeah, definitely.
You know, I remember,
Definitely.
you know, again, I hope he's not out there watching, but, you know, I had one employee, you know,
And if he is,
drive
hi.
g'day mate, drove a customer's caravan out the gate. Remember that?
Yeah,
And then
sideswiped
swiped the gate. And again, we had a policy in place. You know, we're not to be driving customers' cars and caravans, and that policy is still in place to today. And you probably, if you've been dropping a van off here, you'll see our team are always encouraging you to hook that van on and you to go through that process so you can ensure that everything's done right. Again, all the policies, procedures and systems we have in place today are all because of our stuff-ups. They're all because of lessons that we've learned. That
We call them lessons. Yeah, absolutely.
We've gone, you know, we need to put something in place so that doesn't happen again. But, you know, that gentleman sideswiped the fence and you know, that was 80 grand. You know, we were fortunate that, you know, the business was somewhat financial by that stage, but that was still a massive hit.
Huge
hit.
We probably would have only been at that stage maybe 2 years old. That probably would have happened in our first
Well, it would have been probably 2 years, and
months,
then
2 years in.
remember the guy that was flogging the white wine out of the back of the fridge?
Oh, how could I forget?
Oh, what a doozy he
That's
was.
a different person.
Yeah, so g'day to you as well, mate.
Hello.
But you know, one of our first workshop technicians. Again, thought he was great. He had 20 years experience in the game. He knew what he was doing. Here I was thinking, you beauty, we've made it. You know, Jeb's off the tools. He's got someone else to help him in the workshop, and I go out there and he's pissed. You know?
Yeah, he was literally pinching the wine
Oh my
because
God.
in the customer hands, when a customer collects a van, we obviously put a package together
Hamper
with
together.
wine and nibblies and things like that, just to celebrate their trip on their first trip or whenever they want to have it. But essentially, it's generally for their first trip. And yeah, he was actually pinching the wine, drinking
Putting it in
it,
his water bottle.
putting it in his water bottle. So we weren't to know, and then putting the wine bottles back in. And I only started to realise, obviously, we picked up the behaviour, and then we're like, but how is he drinking at work? We obviously spotted the water bottle, and then I'd realised that there was wine going missing and empty bottles from the shelf. Honestly hilarious if they thought that we weren't going to find out. But
Anyway,
we have had some doozies. Again, lessons learned. We've learned many lessons in our
And again, you
in
take
our
people on
years.
face value, and maybe that's
I know.
the country coming out, and as you know, you just think everyone's out to do the right thing. You think everyone's honest. You think everyone's, you know, got your best interests at heart, but
Definitely.
they don't. They got their best interests at heart.
No. And again, that was early days for us. And now I think team for us is so important.
Oh, so
and the
important.
recruitment process that we go through to put anyone on it. That time, like you said,
Yep.
face value, we're from the country where we think everyone's,
Yep.
you know, best friends and everyone knows someone and, you know, it's all a big happy world. But then you come to the city and people have different agendas and different motives, and maybe you don't know people as well as face value. Just yeah, you can get an impression from someone, but obviously, especially in a business format, when we put people on,
Hi.
Hello, Stella. When we obviously put people on now, we take them through a massive recruitment process. Like, it's normally a phone screen, a first interview, a second interview, then coming to meet Jeb or I, or both of us, before they're even hired into a position, because team to us is vital. Having the right people at the front of our customers is pivotal.
And as I'm sure you can appreciate, again, when you've been there and you've done it and you've established it, and we set this business up, we had no cash backing, there was no money involved from anyone. It was just blood, sweat, tears, and cold hard work, a lot of work to get us up, and saving every single penny, reinvesting every single penny back into the business, and then paying wages, and then trusting that employee is going to do the right thing, and that they're going to have your best interests at heart, and that they're going to service your customer. And again, I put my hand up and say we still don't get it 100% right, but boy, oh boy, do we invest a lot into our team right now, and that's the reason why. They're a reflection of us, they're an extension of us, and for us to have our values and our purpose and what we want to drive forward, we need to distill that into each and every employee of Adelaide RV, and now there's nearly 30 of them.
I know, exciting. We've got a great little team at the moment, great little team. Oh, sky's the limit.
Sky's the limit.
Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. It's been amazing what we've been able to achieve in 8 years. When you really spend this time, it's not often that you spend the time to sit and think back to how it was, but to see how far we've come in 8 years, and the team we've now got around us, and the experiences that we've had, and the lessons that we've learned in business, I honestly think sky's the limit in terms of what the future could hold.
I think one of the things that we didn't mention is the amount of personal and professional development that we've delved into. One of the biggest things that we done was actually go out and get training on actually how to run businesses, how to become a better leader. We've developed a lot in leadership training, in business training, system structures, planning. You guys see what we do with our planning, with our team. Our annual planning days, our quarterly planning days, getting the team involved and getting the buy-in from the team on our vision and where we want to go. Our mission is 10,000 people to travel Australia by 2030. You probably heard that. We set that mission in 2020 for a 10-year period of time to get 10,000 people traveling Australia, and we're well on track for that. I guess that's where we're headed. And we want to continue to build an amazing community. We want to partner up with other people inside of the industry, that are doing some amazing things as well. Because at the end of the day, I think for me, growing up as a kid, I just love getting out and about and traveling. And we've done a little bit of it ourselves now. Fortunate to do some a few months back with Stella, and it was great. It was a beautiful trip, and it's just such an awesome lifestyle. I love it. We go to Renmark at the end of the year, and go up with our group of friends who have, we've got them all in caravans now, and the kids just have a ball. At the end of the day, that's what it's, for us, beautiful. That's what it's for. It's so beautiful lovely to see them all getting together.
And I hope they grow up, and obviously we've started a tradition now where just little things like all our caravans, we get together New Year's Eve at Renmark Caravan Park, and we obviously spend New Year's together. And I'm hoping, my vision for that, just on a personal level, is our kids all grow up together, and then they do this with their kids. I would love to create some sort of tradition like that, where it's the special memories that you can have in caravans that you just can't have anywhere else or on any other holiday. So it's so special, so beautiful to watch.
So here we are on the eve of our 8th birthday, and 8 years is not a long time. There's businesses out there that are 25, 30, 35 years old inside of this industry, even more. And to achieve what we've achieved in such a short time, again, as I said, we need to pinch ourselves sometimes, and to have the amazing team that we've got here around us now, is incredible. And sky's the limit.
Yeah. Happy 8th birthday, Adelaide RV.
Here we go. Hip hip hooray.